the West Coast Cowboy Tour. If you want to see where I'm going to be, go to thejasonellis.com to see tour dates and where I'm going to be, because I might be in your town. thejasonellis.com. Do it. Go now. Because, my heart, I stopped drinking a while ago, and I want to be active, so I've kind of always fought to not be on drugs and alcohol all the time.
Yeah.
The Kratom was a sneaky.
Oh,
like, the Kratom one was like,
all the time.
People were like, oh, man, it's a great after-workout thing. And I was like, yeah. And then when I quit that, I was like, that might be the worst one. That might be the hardest thing I've ever had to get off.
And weed and Kratom will get you.
My pulse is totally moving, new and improving, and I can't get back home. I've got the heart and desire, my mother on fire, ready to take us to the top. Welcome to the show. Did you know that your mom is up? Welcome to the show. I'm Huge Jackman. Today, our guest is none other than the world famous and my good friend, Dr. Drew Pensky. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Good to be here. I think I'm a better friend of this cat than you are of me.
That's big talk.
Already, and I've known this cat about 5 minutes.
You're talking. We are the bestest of friends of all time. We had a animal medium in the other day, and she said that Rumblebean, that's Rumblebean, by the way. Rumblebean, Drew.
Yeah, I'm listening.
His favorite thing in the world is to be with his father on the couch.
Look at this. This is a friendly cat.
He is a great guy.
Rumblebean, the friendly cat, the friendliest cat we know.
I'll write that right now.
I just sing too.
Yeah.
So how are you, my friend?
I'm great.
Good.
Yeah. Drew, I'm curious. When we say that we recently spoke to a pet psychic,
I didn't budge, did I?
What is
I didn't blink.
I wonder what goes through your mind.
What went through my mind is my wife would love that shit.
Yep.
Because she has all her friends are psychic. She has her own psychic little podcast.
Yeah.
Called Calling Out with Susan Pinsky, and I've had a chance because of that show to study psychics.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of fascinating. Well, I mean, they do some uncanny stuff, and I became convinced that they were doing something strange neurologically, because their eye movements when they were in the zone, when they were really calling out stuff that was true.
Yeah.
They had rotatory nystagmus. They had nystagmus the upper right corner. Upper right corner of the right. And I thought, this is not normal eye movements. They're accessing something. And so we had Tyler Henry did us, and I asked him to come back and let me wire him up with an EEG. And I brought a neuroscientist in, and we wired him up, and he read Steve-O. And Steve-O came in completely skeptical. He's like, I'm going to fuck this guy up. And the dude zeroed right in on mom and all the stuff about his mom, and he immediately melted. And the brain waves, he went into this crazy state of hypervigilance, hyper alertness. He gets drenched in sweat, and his autonomic nervous system is deeply activated at the same time as he's hyper inhibited. He's in like a sleep state and a hyper alert. Neuroscientist was like, I've never seen anything like this. So they do something. They're into something. And what does that mean?
Right.
What they do? My suspicion is they are able to access that the shit goes on amongst us, communications that we are not aware of consciously, and they're good at accessing that stuff.
A higher level, a higher frequency of intuition.
Like I had a thing about a couple days ago. I came home and I said, listen to my wife, I go, I don't know why I need to mention this to you, but I'm bothered by this dream you described to me 9 years ago. 9 years ago. And she goes, I just had another one just like it 2 days ago. I've been afraid to tell you. And I was like, I don't know where that came from. What is that?
Yes.
So whenever you say, psychic animal, psychic people, I go, okay, it's something. I don't know.
I had a dream the other night where my balls are hairy, and I was like, whoa, that's weird. And then I grabbed the hair and pulled it all out with one shot. And I was like, fix that.
Look at you.
Back to hairless.
You got
again.
balls.
Yeah. Hairless. With one, and I was like, it was kind of like, you ever have a tooth dream where you pull your tooth out?
Yeah.
I know it's very common. I have not had that dream.
It was ball hair.
Yeah.
So in the tooth dream, there's sort of anxiety where you spit the teeth out and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
I always feel a loose one, and then I push them, and then they all come out.
Right. And so is this one with the balls? Is it more of a...
Okay, I have a question because I think my intuition tells me this is an important question.
Okay.
Was it painful? Was there resistance?
No.
Or they just went?
They just went.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, it's a little bit like, wait a minute, is this all coming out? And no pain. I was like, may as well go full gusto.
Right.
And I was showing somebody.
For
like,
me,
I was like, ta-da!
You tell me if I'm wrong. This is how I experience him. He's always showing that he has balls and that it doesn't hurt him, even when it hurts him.
I see.
Right.
So you're taking this as the metaphorical ball.
That's just sort of the feeling that he gives me fits with the feeling of pulling the hair out of his balls.
I think that your testicles might be just your spirit animal.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Right.
I always
I
thought
like
it was
that.
a wolf, but it makes more sense that it's balls.
You should have put
Unfortunately.
You should have written like testes
Got
up
balls
in
on
your
my head?
Yeah, it would have been. People would have thought it was just brain.
Not as cool. Oh, man.
Is that guy with the scrotum on his head? Yeah.
No, it's my brain.
I mean, from the back, it does look a bit like it's a bit scroty. Yeah. So, Drew, I hurt my knee, and I don't know if you know. I think you know, but I'm a doctor as well.
Of course.
Right.
Well, you're good with, look, you can't be an athlete and not be good at ortho and these sorts of things.
Right. I'm not. Orthopedist is a doctor, right?
Yeah.
I knew that. That's what I am.
There's surgeons, though.
Right. I'm not a surgeon.
Right. So you're like a.
I'll tell you what's wrong with it,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to fix it for you.
Okay.
Unless there's, as we were discussing before the show started, there's this other thing when you get older where, you could have surgery and you could do this and that, but you could also harden the F up.
Or do intermediate steps, but it is here. The thing we said was, even we get the surgery, we'll fuck it up again anyway.
Oh, that I went to Colombia and got stem cells, and they fixed my legs, and I immediately went completely berserk and ruined my body twice as bad because I was like, oh, I can skate again,
right?
And then I skated and slammed,
right? Because we're still old, right? So our tissue is still in the same shape, even though we've healed it back. And we end up doing the same thing to it that put us in a shape we were in the first place.
But it's living. You're living. You get
Dude,
one chance on this planet.
Am I arguing?
No, you're the same.
Yeah, I'm the same.
You just told me you can't touch the top of your head. You still lift weights.
That's exactly right.
Hell yeah, Drew. Hell yeah. Yeah, I went
until the wheels come off.
That Tony Hawk had a documentary about that. I went to meet him today to do a video to promote us doing a show at the Comedy Store. We're doing the Last Hawk versus Wolf at the Comedy Store. You should come. But anyway, I
promote it. When is it?
The 29th
of January.
Yeah, this month. Okay. Yeah. In the main room at the Comedy Store.
Nice.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Big celebrity
Look
comedian.
at you with your comedy career sailing.
Yeah.
Into the big time.
Yeah. I kicked ass on Saturday night. Probably the best I've ever done.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about comedy.
Good.
But Tony was like, I'm going to be in Huntington Beach if you want to, because he lives way further than that. And if you want to film this bit. And I was like, oh, cool. And he says, I'm going to be at the Van skate park. So I go, oh, okay, I'll go. And I haven't skated for a while because I've been doing a lot of other stuff. And I was like, I'll bring my stuff because you never know. If you're going to meet with Tony, you got to bring your stuff.
Sure.
So I bring my stuff and I get to the parking lot and I'm like, oh, this is just, for some weird reason, I thought maybe the Vans skate park in Huntington Beach had like a facility where you did other stuff besides skate, but it's a skate park. That's it. And I was like, oh, I cannot
walk. Like a cement.
Yeah. It's got a vert ramp as well, but it's mainly this big giant cement thing, which is crazy because I've been there like 4 or 5 times and I always walk by the big cement thing because it's a bit past my time. And if you don't skate all the time and you skate in that thing, you're going to get hurt.
That's the shit they brought in bulldozers and filled them with sand during COVID in LA County.
Yeah.
Not
this one because it's private.
It's Orange County too. But that's how fucked up LA County was during COVID.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I think they did that to Venice too, right?
It's LA County.
But
disgusting. Remember it, people. Be pissed. Remember the excesses.
Wait, do we have to be pissed?
Yes, you have to be pissed.
What about? Can I be happy?
You can be happy, but be pissed about that.
Right, but I don't want to be. I don't. You know, I'm not good when I'm pissed, Drew.
Have you had somebody hypnotize you or something?
I'm not a good guy.
You mentioned the word anger, and he goes into this. I can't be pissed.
I'm just not.
Well, that sounds like a guy who's one step closer to the edge, and he's about to break.
Man, I was hoping you were going to go somewhere else with that.
I was just going maybe
I'm
hypnosis.
not about to break.
EMDR. Did you ever do EMDR? Did you ever do it?
What's that?
Oh, dude, we talked about it many times.
What's MDR?
It's kind of a hypnotic way of
Yeah. That's when I figured out who molested me. Another person who molested me.
Another.
Yeah.
That was MDMA.
No, that was another thing. That was another thing.
Who was it?
My
Can you
dad.
say? Well, your dad. You've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, I thought it was a babysitter the first time, and then that, and yeah. And then I had some run-ins with some ladies when I was underage. Where at the time, because you're a dude, and it's like back in the '80s, where I was like, "Hell yeah!" But then when I look back when I was older,
that's what happened to Catherwood, and it made him a sex addict.
That's what I am. That's what, dude. Since I've been sober, you don't know. I haven't seen you. I don't. I'm no longer promiscuous.
Good.
I don't do stuff with guys.
You can't whack-a-mole addiction. It has to all be put down. It has to go into the back seat of the bus, as they say.
Well, I knocked them one by one.
Yeah.
And then when I got to sex, because when I got completely sober, I was still sleeping with people, and I was like, I wonder if that's part of it. And then when I decided to be celibate, that was really hard, and it made me want to use again. And that's when I figured out that is also I use it to run. I'm stressed out. I'm worried about
running from feelings.
Yeah,
of course.
So I'll just do stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm not. Somebody messaged me recently, a gay friend that was like, "How dare you do this to the LGBTQ?
How dare you become celibate?
How dare I become? I'm no longer gay.
Oh,
I don't do stuff with guys.
Okay. So wait a minute. So let's break this down.
It's been a while, Drew.
It has been a minute. I'm glad I'm here. So you're dealing with your sex addiction. You're dealing with your addiction generally, and sex addiction is one of the addictions that needs management for sure. Yeah. You're going to SA or anything?
Yep.
Okay. That's a whole thing, and it's important, and it's
addiction too.
It's fantastic, and deciding who you are sexually and all that is something that will. How sober are you? How long have you been sober?
426 days.
So you've done most steps, all steps,
all 12,
all steps on this thing.
Yep,
on it. Good for you, man. Remember, Steve-O did it.
I'm
too,
doing well. I'm a secretary.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I do.
Good for you.
I do work. I'm in,
dude,
and I'm not going out. And I've never been.
I really believe behavior addictions are the problem of our moment.
Yeah,
and that people don't know it, recognize it. I just talked to a half dozen guys whose wives went out on testosterone and became sex addicts.
Yeah, because testosterone gets you...
And they're not used to it. They don't know what to do, and they have a problem, and they go out on it.
Yep.
And, I think I know... and they don't go to program.
Right.
So people aren't going to program yet the way they should, or treatment.
I think I know what you mean when you say behavior addictions are the issue of our age. What does that mean exactly?
So gambling, sex, eating, shopping, debting, everything other than putting a substance in your body.
Okay.
That can become addictive.
I would be inclined to throw phones in there.
Yes, for sure. And there are people that actually treat that primarily, but it is usually phone has a theme: sex,
I understand,
spending, something. It's usually the theme that gets you,
right.
And phone has to be made safe or put away as part of the recovery from whatever the theme is.
I don't want to derail the conversation, but I do know there was a period in my life where I decided I wanted to cut back on drinking when I was much younger, and I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I got really into, found lots of projects on the internet, and it wasn't sex, it wasn't gambling, but I do see in retrospect, it was a place where I could check my brain. So sometimes I do think screens, just the distraction element.
That is called process addiction.
Okay.
And again, that's why I was leaning away from calling it a particular instrument, but obviously the phone is the crack pipe of all these addictions.
Okay, so back to what you guys were talking about.
Right, so when I got completely sober and tried to, because I realized, living the life that I live and wanting to settle down with somebody, you can't inflict that on somebody again. And I can't live knowing that I've done that, so I needed to rectify
I can't live knowing that I've done that. So you made amends with Katie?
Yes, I have. I've made amends with my children's mother and everybody. I've made my amends is done, and counting, because I will still need to do it.
Yeah, I know how it goes. But you said you can't live with the fact that you did that to somebody. But
that was the thing when I cheated, and I look back on it because I've lost her forever.
Yeah,
and that still burns to this day.
I see.
And if I find somebody else, I will just do the same thing again.
I would argue that whatever her reaction was, she gave you a gift.
I told her that in my amends because she was worried. She was like, "Seems like you got it together without me," and I was like, "I got it together because of you."
It's often the way it is, and that's the thing about being the is that you feel like, oh, you're just getting your shit together because it's been a discovery and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, just like an addict doesn't fucking come to treatment until they're in prison going, what am I doing wrong?
You got to
Then
get
they
a rock
come.
bottom.
You have to hit
going,
a bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a loss of freedom, loss of relationship, loss of children, loss of health. Those
Right.
are the bottoms.
Right. So I got a lot of those, and then when I got sober and started working on it, I realized that sleeping with people that are, because I've always, when we're talking about gay stuff, where I'm like, I'm not attracted to guys.
Well, this is the part I want to drill into, because I'm not quite sure where you're putting that on the addictive scale. So you said you said it very, I think you said it a very specific way. You said, I'm not doing gay stuff right now. Is that what you said?
I'm not gay.
Explain that, how that happened and what that's all about. And why the fuck should any community give a shit about your health and your journey?
I don't think it's a community. I just think it's a couple people that saw me a certain way. And they also, like, when this person explained it, how dare you do that? I'm still a supporter of the LGBTQ.
course.
I just don't.
What happened if you
engage
What if you
in-
actually pulled your balls off and just you're part of your balls hair and you did nothing? Then what would you be? An insult to gay men?
That'd be a cool trick. Yeah. But I don't want to.
Sure, it's
I'm
been
just
done. I know
To
it's
me,
been
it was guys are very easy, and if I could have had a girl come over 4 or 5 times a day,
Interesting.
guys, there's an app where they will come over and you
Mm.
can do it, and you can just keep running over and over again. And when I engaged in that kind of stuff, it was just like when I drank and smoked weed. I only want more.
You know, it's
It's
interesting.
never enough.
Yeah, of course.
So it just kept multiplying, and
Yeah.
then when I finally cut it off, I found myself not being attracted to guys or being interested in anybody really, unless I have like, I really like this person,
Closeness.
yeah, and then we could probably have sex. I'm not again. I like sex. It's just not the way I used to look at it in a just give it to
an
me.
addictive way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's healthy sex. Now it's real sex.
Yeah, there's
part of
real.
relationship.
Like if you say something weird, I'm like, oh well, that's it's not going to work out for us. But I'll be like, well, we'll still have sex, but I'm not going to date you.
And you were mostly having sex with other sex addicts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the other thing. You realize all these other people, they're like, what's up, and I'm like, I'm not interested in. I had a girlfriend for a while, and people would be like, what's up? You still with your girlfriend? And I'm like, yeah. And now I'm single again. They're like, oh, so you're single? What's up? And I'm like, it doesn't matter if I'm by myself. I'm not. No, the answer is still no. I'm not interested in random.
Yeah.
Somebody who just wants to do that. I'm not interested in it.
For some reason, I'm thinking about something you said to me. I don't know why I'm thinking about this. This is me with my weird intuition again. You told me something once. You said, yeah, I punch girls in the face during sex. And I was like,
Whoa.
What? You told me this. And I go, what?
Slap, you mean?
Hit in the face we were talking about. It might have been slap. I don't know. We didn't specify.
Wasn't punch.
Okay. And and I was like, wow. Like, how do you know that somebody's going to react to that? And you go, I just know. And that was interesting to me.
Yeah, because, okay, now that you've maybe go down this road, that because of the way I look, there were a lot of girls that when we would hook up, they would be very aggressive.
They want that kind
and
of
want me to be aggressive.
Yeah.
And it was like an adjustment because I'm not. I do look like this, but when I usually sleep with people, I'm not a choking, slapping, mean guy.
But they wanted that.
I'm kind of slow, but with being, that was the other thing. A lot of the same kind would be attracted to me.
Of course, they're
because,
also
because I'm a magnet to that because of my damage.
Yes.
So the only people that want to sleep with me is like choke me, slap me, spit on me, and I would be like, okay, this is the world that I belong in. And then when I got sober and stopped doing all that stuff, I found that I'm like, if somebody was to do that now, I'd be like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, what happened to you that made you want me to do that?
And now you're going to start getting the codependents on your squad.
What-
but like
oh.
me, codependents. And but it makes me wonder, and I'm not suggesting you should,
Okay.
but I'm just makes me wonder, do you ever wonder about making amends to some of these people? Since you participated in their addiction in some way that was uncomfortable, and I'm not saying you should. That kind of thing is a curiosity to me.
Well, I
How
don't
do you
think
how do you
only-
decide whether you do or don't? Or it's
there's
hard.
not many people that I did that with.
Okay.
And the people that I did do that with, like you said before, where I think that their addiction is pretty serious too.
Oh yeah, sure.
I don't think they'd understand the reason for an apology. they'd be like, I wanted you to.
Yeah, they're still in it.
Like I've never slapped a girl and they've gone, oh my God.
No, you told me that. Now I found that kind of interesting. I was like,
and it was always this, it was a certain person that was, you can tell they like I said, like they wanted me to, and they were like, somebody taught me how to do it. And that person, if I go, hey, remember how we used to hook up and I slapped you and I'd like to apologize for that. She'd be like, I told you to. I taught you how to do it.
No, it reminds me of trying to talk to porn stars about sex addiction.
That's who they were.
Yeah.
Which, that was another thing. The only people that I slept with were porn stars or dudes. And then when I got, and trans, and most of the actually every trans person I hooked up with was a porn star or a prostitute or both.
This was full male to female or partly male
Both.
to female? Both ways. Yeah.
The person that taught me the slapping thing was a trans man who was a woman, born a woman. And they were, and I know for a fact that I'm not going to make it, because sometimes you making an amends if it's going to harm somebody, it's not worth doing.
Well, no, you're not supposed to do it.
Right. So I'm not going to do that, because I think engaging with these people, I think it's best to just never.
That's
speak
the
to
interesting
them
thing
again.
about sex addiction. You heard the term qualifier?
No.
You've not heard that term? So it's a word used in sex addiction a lot. It's the person you acted out with that qualifies you for participation in the program. The qualifiers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a term. And
I mean, that was everybody at one point.
yeah. Well, but the qualifiers, sometimes the best thing in sex addiction is to stay away from the qualifiers. That's where I'm at. Look, if they were to reach out to me, that'd be different. Yeah.
And I'd be more than willing to accept, to make an apology if necessary.
Of course.
But when it comes to, I'm still new. And
Well,
it's
you're
like
18
going
months.
to a bar and like,
And they say, by the way, it takes 3 to 5 years to to really fully recover from a sex addiction.
oh, I believe that.
Yeah, feels like it, right?
That I had a relationship where sometimes it touched on a thing where I was like, this is not healthy. And I was using a word that was always, it would make me giggle, where I would say it's not appropriate or it's inappropriate. And then I would laugh to myself and go, did you just say that?
It is kind of funny.
Are you the guy that's just said this is inappropriate? Because usually you don't even know that word, but that's a word that I throw. Well, not so much now because I'm not really engaging in anything, but there was a little bit there where I was like, this is
That's
not
so
really
fun.
appropriate. I think this is going to hurt us.
Do you see all this, Tully? You see all the change?
Yeah,
You get to
absolutely.
witness in real time. I'm stepping in a year and a half later. It's like, whoa.
I can't believe it's been that long.
I think I was in Hermosa last time I saw you.
Nah.
No,
you-
no.
Oh no, it was over here, Encino. Yeah, it was.
No,
over
you were in the Valley.
Yeah,
You
the
were
Valley, yeah.
North Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because it was,
That's right.
I was breaking down.
Yeah. You were depressed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got out of that.
Yeah, that was a scary one.
Yeah, it was, but it was also, now looking back, it was a good thing.
Of course.
Because I wasn't going to move on or correct anything in my life if I didn't strip down, and I wouldn't strip down if I didn't think that it all was lost. And I was like, everything I am is not what I want. What do I have to do to get to this thing that I don't even know what it is? I'm like, what? I feel like I'm not doing the right thing. I feel like I'm not living the right life. I don't know what the future life of Jason even looks like, but this I know is not it.
So I hear sex addicts talk like that a fair bit.
I bet.
Do you hear it in the
we
rooms?
all, it's
Do you hear it in the rooms?
Oh,
Yeah.
the first slaw that I went to was heartbreaking because I'd already been in AA for a long time, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And then people talk, and I'm like, son of a bitch, another thing. Like I got another, and I'm like, this one might even be worse than the drinking, because my heart. I stopped drinking a while ago, and I want to be active, so I've kind of always fought to not be on drugs and alcohol all the time.
Yeah.
The kratom was a sneaky. Like the
tell me
kratom
about
one
it.
was like,
all the time.
people were like, oh man, it's a great after workout
No.
thing, and I was like, yeah. And then when I quit that, I was like, that might be the worst one. That might be the hardest thing I've ever had to get off.
And weed and kratom will get you.
Hey everybody, Jason Ellis Show. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this new product that I'm started using, Quick K, that helps you get off kratom. I was not fortunate enough to know about this when I got off, So I had a friend say, you can white knuckle it. And I was like, okay. And I did. And I've been addicted to every drug, and I've quit every drug. And this Kratom was the worst detox I've ever had. There was a minute there where I was like, I might go to hospital. I don't know if I can do it. And to know that there's a supplement out there that can ease the pain of what I would call white knuckling.
Quit K is an all-in-one supplement with vitamins, adaptogens, amino acids, and herbs to help aid in withdrawal and recovery, increasing dopamine, serotonin, trying to help you relax, trying to help you just get a restful night's sleep as you power through that difficult process.
Yeah, I wasn't sleeping.
If I can help you guys, this is actually a reasonable combination. And I think we live in the day of sort of the golden age of supplements where they can actually help.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of supplements. I think we live in a good time to be using them. This is a very reasonable combination I'm looking at here that will help with some of the biology of the hyperactivity of the nervous system in withdrawal. Now, at times, though, people do need to go to the hospital. I almost sent you to the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go and get help sometimes. It's an opiate withdrawal. And if you've been using a lot, and if you're being overwhelmed, or you feel desperate, or your mood is unstable, you think about hurting yourself, or you just can't make it, it's fine. But this is a reasonable place to start, right?
Well
away.
said.
You can learn more about Quit K at their website, quitk.com, quit and the letter K.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Jason Ellis, the Jason Ellis Show, talking about Tushy. I love Tushy. If you don't know what Tushy is, your butthole hates you. Tushy is a thing that you sit, it goes on your toilet, and you sit on it, and you do number twos. We all do. Don't lie. Everybody does a number two. If you don't do a number two, you'll pop.
Pooping's natural.
That's what it is. And when you do it, after you do it, you can wash you press a little button, and Bob goes right up your uncle, and you wash your butt, and you don't have to use as much toilet paper, and your butt is glistening. It's gleaming the cube, and it's just dingleberry free. Say goodbye to dingleberries, Michael.
Why did we ever live with dingleberries? Why do we want to
Because they didn't have tushies.
Why did we live in a world where we settled for toilet paper when we could have this attachment that goes onto your toilet? It sounds complicated, but it takes about 10 minutes to pop that bad boy on there.
Yep.
Now, I've been married to a woman of the Japanese persuasion for some time now.
Yeah, they love that stuff.
There's a lot of things we could learn from the Japanese.
Yep.
Personally, what I'm
thinking about it right now,
I'm
Michael.
thinking, and the person I'm picturing attached to it is a clean and prepared for the day Japanese person, because bideting is a way of life for them. Make it a bidet way of life for
bidet,
yourself. Mate. That's right. Over 2 million butts the world over love Tushy. Get 10% off Tushy with the code Ellis at hellotushy.com/Ellis. That is over 2 million butts. Make your butt 2,000,001. Love their Tushies. Get 10% off Tushy with code Ellis at hellotushy.com/Ellis.
I remember you used to say, you might have even said it the last time you were on here. You're like, weed, I know you do it, and I don't want to say things that might make you uncomfortable, but inevitably that might be something you might want to look into letting go of. Yes, and I was like, yeah, Drew, but this is what I need. This is
different.
The one thing, yeah. And then when I got into that's when it really opened up. That's when I really started to understand, which made it so much harder. I started to understand all the mistakes I've made and all the hurt I've caused to all the people that I love the most. And that, when you realize that, the first thing you want to do when you're an addict is go use to not face it anymore.
Or act out, yeah.
But instead, that backyard, like if I ever got that house, going into that, there was so many times I would go into that backyard and pray. And this is before I really believed in God, because I was like, this is insane. And I would be like, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm not going to use. I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to sit here with it, because I know that that's the best move. But you got to give me an answer. Like, something's got to change. Can you make it change? And it would just be so much pain that I felt like I might go crazy, and it was terrifying, because I was like, "You're a good guy. You got a brain, but I'm starting to lose it. I'm starting to not care if I'm here anymore." But I love my kids, and that was the biggest thing. Like, when it got really dark, then there was I would put, I don't want to say, but there was things where I was like, I'm gonna end it, and I was like, you do that. I'm not sure you've caused your kids enough strife. You do that, and that's that's the last straw. Like you're gonna inflict that on them after they've done nothing but good for you.
Well, here's the problem, and this is the really, if he ever starts talking like this, is you convince yourself. And by the way, you shouldn't have these knives and guns around. Just if you're prone to depression, just saying.
Do you think that honestly makes a difference if you're going to do something?
It does, because it's often it's almost in a psychotic, impulsive state. That's why people hang themselves. They just poof, now.
They say that very often, that people, if they made it another 5 minutes, they may have gotten out of it. Right?
People jump off stuff, and when they're on their way down, they regret it. They say
most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Out of my face, you mean? Tully did that. I didn't do that.
My bad.
But you convince. This is the thinking. I want you to maybe commit to somebody. Doesn't have to be in this room, but somebody that if you start thinking like this, you tell somebody. And
I don't.
Yeah. The thinking is they'd be better off without me.
I don't think that at all.
I understand. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Another reason why, no matter how bad it gets, and how I don't want to go to a meeting, I go. And how much I don't want to call my sponsor or talk to other people.
So do you have sponsors in different programs now?
No, just one. My sponsor passed away. I just went to his funeral on Saturday.
Oh my God.
I know. It was really hard. But his sponsor is now a good friend of mine, and he's the one that I watched him make a speech one day, and it was a real it changed everything from that day on, where he's 75. He's jacked, and he's like, I get in a 3-point stance. That's how I pray now. I get in a 3-point stance.
Wow, how fun.
And when I finish praying, I get fired up, and that's his thing. He gets fired up, and just the whole speech, the way he talked it just connected with me so much. So I'm just always around those people, and that's the other thing. I go to meetings and I sit there and if you want me to talk, okay, I'll talk. But now I'm like, I'm a secretary. I'm engaged. I know everybody, and I think I really fought to not be a part of that, because I'm like, there's this thing that I think we all think, where I'm like, I don't want to hang out with these people all the time, fucking losers, And I'm like, dude, this is your community. We stay in this community and we stay sober. So like, stay in it. And now I have a lot of friends. They're always reaching out to me. I have like 20 people now that are texting me all the time. So I just know as long as I stay in that, I'm gonna be fine. And things have gotten a lot better.
You seem great. Listen, this is not by way of advice giving. You're on your way.
I mean, I'm single, dude, and I remember thinking, that's terrifying. I don't want to be in this house by myself. I really like being in this house by myself. Like, I'm busy doing a lot of stuff. If I've got time and I'm by myself, think of comedy bits, write bits. Like, where's that fire? Like, let's get fired up and let's do some shit, like TikTok, Like today, skating with Tony. This concrete ball, when I walked up to it, I looked down, I was like, oh, I don't want to. This is not a good idea. Like, you have to skate for a while. This thing's a monster. But I got in there, started moving around, and just like every other thing, like, you get in there, you start moving around, and you start enjoying yourself and doing things you didn't think you could do. And then when I got out, I hobbled to the car and came here. But I'm proud to like take my pads off and then hobble to my car. And I'm like, you are hobbling. You are seriously injured. And you just skated like a 13-foot giant concrete bowl with Tony Hawk. You're good, dude. You're good. You got plenty in you,
Drew, let me ask you something. This is maybe a mundane observation, but I think the way that we were raised, a world not that long ago, we saw addiction, like say Barney Gumble on The Simpsons, the classic alcoholic, a moral failing. This person has made choices in their life. They can't get serious, and so they're like ruining their family's life because of their own selfishness or something. It seems, the anecdotal evidence to me seems so overwhelming, and knowing Jason as I do and what you mentioned earlier about Catherwood, it seems the vast number of people who have any sort of addiction, it stems from some sort of mental depression, whatever you want to call it. And the vast majority of those can be linked back to some sort of trauma, abuse. What percentage of people who are in whatever anonymous are acting out abuse? So
I can only speak to the present moment and the time I've been practicing in this area. And there are guys like Gabor Mate that say it's all trauma, okay, 100%. I'm not in that group. Sometimes you're just a truck driver and started taking meth at night to get through the night.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you're just a guy that works at a bar and you had the gene and it gets out of control.
Yes.
But the majority of times there is trauma. And the way I always say it is, if you have bad enough addiction that you need to come see me, there's 100% probability of childhood trauma, and not little t trauma, like trifecta: physical abuse, sexual abuse, abandonment, all of it. And that's the rocket fuel for addiction.
Right.
And sex addiction, I would say there's always some kind of trauma in there. I would say always. That's part of the compartmentalization of sex addiction. And then you have to have the genetics of alcoholism or something that, boom, now it takes off.
It's definitely a sneakier one too. It's
Yeah.
kind of like food addiction, where, you know, like if you're out of control with your eating and you're incredibly obese and you're unhealthy, like you're jeopardizing your life, you got to eat still.
Right.
And it's kind of like, you know, with sex addiction, the thing that I've noticed with sex addiction, it's sex and love addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, like a lot of sober guys, it's kind of like, they smoke a lot of cigarettes. It's like, I don't know if that's the greatest thing you need to do with your life. And it's like, yeah, but it's better than everything else. And I'm like, that's a good argument, yes. But if you smoke 2 packs a day, that's not good either.
Yeah.
So it's the same with like, check that ass out. And I'm like, that's a bit rude, you know what I mean? And again, I'll catch myself and go, you really think that person was rude? Like, you've looked at everybody's ass, Jason. Like, what are you saying? But it's
inappropriate.
I won't say it out loud for that one. But I know a lot of guys that go check it out, and I'm like, I'm not checking it out. Like, I don't know that person. I don't watch porn. I don't care anymore.
Right now, that's all slippery for you. Be careful. But the reason there are so many different programs in sex addiction, there's SAA, there's SCA, there's SA, there's SLA, there's LA. There's just love addiction, straight up.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's because it has different flavors.
Yeah.
And the rooms are a little different.
Yeah.
And even the program's a little different, which I was going to say to you, you might want to get a sponsor in SA or SLA to work at least through the 5th step with that, just to kind of see how different they go at it.
Yeah, you're probably right. Look, I have I feel like it's a matter of the same with the AA. I meet the right person. I mean, I do have somebody that hasn't said that they're my sponsor, but I do go there with a guy
in SLA. How long has he been sober or whatever?
Like 20 years. Like
in SLA.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big deal because it's rare to find somebody like that.
Yeah, there's a couple people there that have.
You should lean on that.
They're real. Yeah, he was the one that took me and didn't say why. I was like, yeah, I'll go. I'll go. I was 2 in a day, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. And then as soon as it started, I started to get dark because I was like, I mean, can you have any more afflictions, dude? And then he's like, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And then it came to me talking.
The desperation.
Yeah, because it was so, I was like, I think that, I've thought that, son of a bitch. I'm just like that guy, just like that guy. I'm like, man, I thought I was doing good because I don't smoke weed. Son of a bitch. But it does. Now,
does it bother you that I'm laughing?
No, not at all.
I hope you put
No,
something like
I think it's funny.
Because you should put something like this in your comedy act because people don't laugh about this enough. It makes it accessible for people.
People don't believe it.
No, I know.
Because I think sometimes it's been used as like somebody cheats and they go, oh, I'm a sex addict. And I'm like, you can say the words. It doesn't get you out of it.
It
Like,
also doesn't diagnose you necessarily.
right. And you're still a dog, by the way. Like if you don't do the work and then stop doing that to people, you can't just use it as an excuse. You got to like do the work.
And by the way, it will progress if you don't.
Yeah.
It
You
progresses.
telling me?
Yeah.
When I look back at things, the way I ran stuff, and to think at the time I thought that was normal. Okay, I didn't think it was like Tully on the other, like Tully and myself, very different people.
What?
But I always thought what I'm doing is it's a different lifestyle than Tully's, but it's not out of control. I think some people just think I'm crazy because they live like a prude's life,
Right.
if you will.
Right.
But looking back, I go, it's
It's
crazy to know that I didn't think it was crazy.
You were in a new community for yourself, with the gay community, and they tolerate a lot more of that stuff than the heterosexual does.
It's a very rare thing to meet somebody in that scene that isn't, in my
for
opinion, a sex
for
addict.
you, I'm sure that I have lots of gay friends that are interested in a monogamous, intimate, stable
Right.
relationship, and guess what?
But
They
that
didn't have trauma.
I wasn't connected to that group.
Correct.
I was connected to the other group.
Right. And
where it
a
was
lot
like-
of gay men sort of established sex addiction treatment. They were the first big group to be treated a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's some in my meeting that are like that because it is so much. That's the other thing.
It's easier to become a sex addict.
Yeah.
It's easier to feed the addiction in the gay community.
You won't get the same
It's almost
pushback.
like your whole world. It's like if you're a drunk, instead of avoiding bars, it's like your whole world is a bar.
Yeah.
Like if you go to the park,
Right.
it's a pub. You don't know, like everyone else doesn't realize it, but it is. Because they're just everywhere. If I'm on my social media is like at least 3 or 4 times a day. What's up? And I'm like, no. Like
Yeah.
I don't even reply anymore. But it's
Well, they got these guys you've acted out with before, or just guys that see you and just
guys. It's not sure. There's people that I've seen before, but it's also because I've been outspoken.
I see.
On social media about being bi.
And this is not judging them. At
no,
all.
no. That
And if it works for them, it's just like I always say, look, if it works for you, fine. But when you're ready, if it progresses, whatever.
at the start, I
look at it.
was angry. I will admit that. At the start, when gay guys would hit on me, I would be mad at them.
Why?
Because I was fighting to stay away from it
Because of
because I
Katie.
still wanted to run.
Because of Katie or
No, because I didn't want to get pulled back. It was kind of like if someone was
early in your sobriety.
yeah,
Oh,
it was
I'm
like
sure.
if someone goes, "Hey man, I heard you quit smoking weed. Do you want to smoke a
Oh,
joint?"
yeah. That's
And I'd be like, "Hey man, fuck you."
that's
Like
sort
no.
of inexcusable to me. It's
But
sort
I
of-
but you just I understand that that's their they don't
they
see
don't
it
understand
that way.
They don't see it. No.
So I no longer take it to offense.
Sex addiction is filled with lots of crazy feelings.
Yeah.
Lots of goofy, interesting guilt meets. So to me, the thing that astonishes me the most about sex addiction is the ability to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Like you're
Like
saying,
I was just saying, where there was a time where I was like, this is not that crazy.
right, and you were compartmentalizing it and then justifying it and doing it and making it work for you and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's because it was in this box where you
Yeah.
sort of kept it. It's very.
I would
so
say it on the
interesting.
show to tell you, like, if people are like, once a day. And I'm like, once a day? I'm like 4 times a day minimum. And people on the show, if there was a guest, they'd be like, dude, there's no need to exaggerate. And I'm like, I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling you that's what it is to me.
Now, how about honesty and hiding and bullshitting and all that stuff? How you doing with that?
I don't hide anything.
But thinking back to when you were compartmental.
What do you mean?
Well, because this is one of the hardest things in sex addiction. People have a lot of shame and they hide and they don't. They're not honest. They're like any addiction, right? To be fair.
Yeah.
But they're very ashamed of it, so it's hard for them to be honest. Oftentimes.
I don't. I mean, I've always been
Okay, I'm just asking.
unfortunately too
I'm
honest.
not. Well, okay,
But I don't look. I am like I'm single. If I would go on a date with a girl. You know.
I'm not saying you have to lay your recovery on somebody
just
on the first
not-
date.
I'm
In
just
fact, I
not-
suggest you don't.
I'm just not into.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not. If it doesn't matter who's looking to give me a quick one and I don't know them, the answer is no.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't. It's not a fight anymore. You know, that's the best part about it. I still got to go to meetings. I got to take care of it because I know that it can change. But it's the same as like I'm home by myself right now. I know where the weed store is. I'm not interested.
Well,
You know,
all
if
of
I go
this-
to the comedy store and someone's like, "Hey man, we're drinking," I'm like, "Good for you."
What I'm getting at is all of this requires you to be a new person.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people are not used to that, and I accept that too. When people go, "Why the?" You know, like that person that reached out to me, like, "How dare you?" And I was like, "That's your angle. That's okay. I know what I am. I know I'm a supporter. I'm kind to people. I'm a good person. I can look in the mirror and I know that. I don't lie. I don't steal. I don't cheat. If I broke up with somebody, I broke up with them. I didn't sleep with somebody. I told them this is not working out, and that's it. I didn't do nothing wrong by you.
You were lying
We're
to
good.
yourself, however.
I was.
When you were in it.
Oh hell yeah.
Do you still lie to yourself?
No.
Okay.
Like what? What?
I'm
Give
just
me
checking
give
in,
me
man, because lying is the thing the abject honesty.
Are you
is-
saying what I'm saying is a lie right now?
I am not. You're getting paranoid. I am not.
Well, you're
saying,
poking a lot,
I'm
Drew.
checking in with you just to make sure there's anything to talk about there. That's all. There is not.
All right, I had sex with 5 dudes last night. No, I'm not doing.
No, I'm not saying that you're acting out secretly.
No, I had sex at Five Guys.
I got a burger too. Does that count?
I'm saying that it's pernicious. It's subtle. And
What's
again,
pernicious mean?
It's sneaky. It's sneaky,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're lying to yourself. You're like, what the fuck? How did I didn't even notice I lied to myself. I'm just checking. That's all. I'm
Yeah,
not
no, you're
angry.
making me check in, but I mean, I really don't have a.
I don't think so. I just, you know.
I'm real good.
Good.
You know?
Good for you, man.
Like, I'm real good.
Excellent.
I got a horse.
I know you told me.
I talk to him a lot.
Mm.
He's a good guy.
Mm.
This might be something that I got to worry about. I really like talking to my horse. I was telling Tully the other day, because my horse is a really good listener and he doesn't talk. That's why I feel like maybe the single life might be best for me. Because it's like, I don't know if I want to hear what you have to say.
For now.
Yeah. But I have God.
Yep,
so I'm not alone.
And if your horse responds to you, let me know.
Well, he tries to hit on me. He's a dude. I'm not into dudes, Drew. How many times do I have to say it?
All right, good. All right.
I see you got your Zins over there. I don't know if you take an interest in this at all.
I do like that stuff.
They they are. It's been formally legalized after having been technically in limbo.
Not just legalized, but sort of taken off the list of dangerous products.
Nuh-uh.
I think so. I think that's what happened.
Yes.
Zyn is non-tobacco, right? It's just nicotine.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, which is something I've said forever. You have to be a little careful, but is that nicotine in reasonable doses is harmless.
Right.
Right. I'm reasonable.
Tobacco in any dose is bad.
Yeah.
That's right. I did my homework on that back when I was on the patch when I was quitting smoking. It's associated with like a little bit of bone loss.
Remember I told you could just stay on, not as a young male, it's very unlikely. Stay on it if you have to. You know, like Bob Forrest's been smoking the gum for 30 years.
Thank God it's completely gone. I knew I was at a wedding and my wife started bumming cigarettes from people. And I was like, I didn't realize it was that kind of party. I got the pass. And I was like, honestly, maybe later. Don't want a cigarette. Never thought that day would come.
Good for you.
It's awesome.
Yeah, wow. I
have no
you
interest.
always
I'll
were like...
I'll go to New York City and I'll get a pack when I'm there. Not at all. It grosses me out to even
How'd
think
you
of
do that?
I just... You know what it is? The thing that's changed that I think this is just a biological thing that happens with age. I've gotten a little bit... I haven't gotten wiser. I can taste the other side of it from here. And that's what it was when I used to go out to the bar.
All the way through.
I can taste it. That thinking didn't help.
Yeah.
I used to wake up in the morning with the hangover and go, "You dummy, you did it again. Don't do this." And then that me would go. Not that I was the worst, but I was bad. I blacked out. I made dumb mistakes. I made dumb decisions. Now, when I have the second drink, I can taste the hangover tomorrow, and it ruins it now.
Yeah.
If I think about looking at a cigarette, I can feel the way it's going to feel when I put the second one out, and it grosses me out, and it takes away the temptation. Thank goodness. So many things, so many bad behaviors.
I feel like Corleone here. Don Corleone with the cat. Do you know that cat jumped onto what's the actor's name? Help me.
Marlon Brando?
Marlon Brando's lap. That was not planned.
Really?
It was a set cat.
And he just rolled with it.
And he went with it, yeah.
And then they had to keep the cat there.
In every scene, in every shot.
Man, that guy had a lot of natural, like, things worked out in a masterful way where it turns out it wasn't that masterful. Like, it was like an accident. Like, I hear a lot of things about him where it was like, he didn't know the lines to a certain movie. And I'm like, he kicked ass in that movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, he was very hard to deal with. He didn't really know. It seemed like he was barely really on the planet. And I'm like,
some people, when it comes to acting, just have this God-given talent.
Right.
And he's one of them. I think De Niro's probably another one, right?
Right. But what do you think when it comes to people that have God-given talent? And then, because I always was under the impression that a lot of people that don't have God-given talent, that put in the work, end up being better. Because
better to work with. That's
Right.
for sure. Yeah,
Right.
whether we as the viewer love them more, you know, they're British actors. They're all
it's like human nature. When you're given things easy, you have less respect for them.
You know who's got it? Just pops in my head. I don't know if you ever. I don't want to blow his cover or anything, but who makes me think of having both is Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
That dude.
yeah. Wow,
That guy's got both.
he's a sober guy, right?
Like I said, I'm not at liberty to talk about his sobriety, but
I think he talks about it.
I believe he does. And
Yeah.
he's a serious source of inspiration for a lot of people.
Really?
Oh, I'm surprised you haven't run across him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No.
Hmm.
No, it's a weird. Celebrities are. I kind of dodge them at this point because I was so into them. I don't know if there's like a connection where
That's an addiction.
I think there was a time there where I wanted to be famous. So if I know famous people, I'll be closer to being famous.
It kind of works like that. There is some of that.
Right, but
Yeah.
to me now, it's like, well, why don't you do it yourself? I want to be an inspiration.
Good.
If popularity comes with that,
Mm.
great. I like being recognized. It's not what it used to mean to me.
Mm.
I do appreciate it, but I don't want to say I don't care,
Well,
because it's
but-
like disrespecting the person that thinks that it was cool to see me.
I get it.
But I don't. It's not like
It becomes
if you don't recognize me, I don't.
No, it becomes a
mind.
tool, an instrument
Yeah.
of your being inspirational to people, and you're becoming a fuller person, more complete person in your recovery.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff is sort of just not as important.
Yeah, I felt, well, I'm glad I did all the things I did, and I'm glad I talked about all the things I talked about, and people can have negative opinions about all of it. That's great. Especially social media is like people just stir the pot, and it's like half their thing is you don't really even mean what you're saying. And I'm aware, I'm a human being. I know when people say something negative, that 5 seconds later, they're thinking about themselves again.
Oh, of course.
They don't really care about what they said, whether it's really good or really bad.
No.
So grain of salt for everything. Pat on the back. Thank you. You're a piece of shit. Thank you. Either one doesn't really faze me. I'm like, what did I do today?
Yeah.
Did I do something good today? Did I help somebody today?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got to do. My kids are on fire.
Great.
On fire. My son got A's. Like he said it. My coach goes, "Yeah, man, Tiger got all A's," and I'm like, "Ha!" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "He's such a liar." Like because he does say stuff all the time, like, "Dad, I crashed your car." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm joking." I'm like, "Dude, that's not a funny joke." But he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah, he's just razzing you." And he's like, "No, man, I'm pretty sure he's telling the truth." And I'm like, okay. And then he comes to the gym. I train with him. And I'm like, "You want to ride home?" He's like, "Yeah, man." And I give him a ride home. He's like, "So did you hear I got all A's?" And I go, "Yeah, I heard you tell that bullshit to coach." And he's like, "No, I did." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "I'll show you right now." And then he showed me. And I swear, dude, I didn't cry, but I did tear up. Because I was like, dude, this is like my daughter was, when she was younger, I would say, "What do you want to do with your life?" She's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "Man, that's not good. I worry about you. Like, I am worried about you."
That whole
And
generation
now,
is that way.
she goes to school to be a nurse. She has 2 different jobs. She is constantly working. I'd love to hang out, Dad, but I'm working like a hustling maniac. And I am so like the weight where I'm like, "You're gonna be okay. You're a really good person.
It's a great time
and
to
you
be a
work your
nurse,
ass
too.
off."
It's a great time to be a hardworking nurse.
And
right
then
now.
my son was the same thing, where it was like, I know he could do things, but at school he was a troublemaker. He wasn't getting good grades, and I was like, that's my fault. Like he's got my blood, not his mum's, and he's doing. I can't help being that guy. And then to know that he gets not 1 A, dude, a bunch of A's. I posted about it. I didn't get an A ever in school ever. I got a B in phys ed, and it was like I got an A in the work, but I was still a dickhead, so I lost a point. He got all A's, and I'm like, "You can do it. Like you are." And was it hard? Well, really? You could have done it the whole time. You have the capability. You're a smart dude. You're a good dude. You're a handsome dude. You're really good at boxing. The next thing that came out of my mouth was like, "If there's one thing I can pass down to you now, that all this stuff that you have, be good to girls, dude. Like the one thing you have left now, because you're a very handsome guy. You can take care of yourself. You're smart. You're going to be successful. There's only one thing left for you, and that's women. Be nice. Do not go down my road. If you do that, if you're honest and you're true, everything else is going to be sweet for you, dude."
It's great advice.
Yeah, because he can do it. He can do it all. They both can do it all. They're both very considerate. They're nice to people. They like think of other people. And every time I find out these things, I'm like,
I'm going to
So
predict
happy.
your daughter's going to be like moving through the nursing ranks. That's my prediction.
yeah, I believe
She
that
was
because
very
the
funny
drive.
too.
Yes.
She's very funny.
Yeah,
People
and-
like that.
In the drive,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that was
the-
my biggest concern. I didn't sense any drive, and I know from not having a lot of opportunities, but I had that drive, and I was like, with drive, the passion for something, you can pretty much accomplish anything you want in your life.
Yeah.
And Drew, you find that wanting with the younger generation?
I find it difficult for them to put a bet down, particularly millennials. The particularly white male millennials. They've been told they're pieces of shit. They've been told they don't matter. They've been told if they try to apply for a job, they need not apply here. They're told by women that they're toxic. I mean, imagine that's all you're hearing all the time. And the sort of worldview from their perspective, having been in college during a lot of indoctrination, was country sucks, economy sucks, there's gonna be nothing for you. The previous generation is stealing everything. Good luck.
Yeah.
And they are having trouble making a bet because of that. Some of them are quite capable.
What do you mean when you say making a
finding something they're passionate about? Exactly what Jason's talking about.
Yeah.
There's a
committing
lot
to
of that out
something.
there. Are you seeing that too? Are you seeing it, or is it just the ones I'm exposed to?
Well, I'm not exposed to a ton of young people, but I do have a son who just turned 13, and
I think that journey is going to be very different.
And I'm keeping tabs on him, and I'm keeping tabs on his social circle in that regard. And I recently was hired to write a documentary about, among other things, the manosphere. So I'm sort of sensitive to where, let's just say, maybe the mainstream message has not been what people want to hear, and there's all these grifters who are waiting to say, well, I'll tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, males.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
but I also anecdotally hear, I know a couple of professors. I know a music professor, and I asked him, just, how's your work going? And he said, I find with this younger generation, I can't ask them to go in their room and close the door and play their instrument for 3 straight hours. They're too distracted by.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That's not good. Well, if they were passionate enough, maybe they would. So I don't know. You have to do that. Music's a great.
People on the phone want to ask you a question before you leave. So
okay. I have been dying to see Dr. Drew on the show again. I'm wondering why he seemingly backs V-Shred.
Oh, so that
what
was
is
something.
V-Shred?
V-Shred is this program that my wife got me involved with. So they came in through Cameo, and I was like, well, let me look at what their deal is. And I looked at their program, and I did it, and I thought, this is everything that trainers have told me to do forever. My shoulders are fucked up. I need to start working out like this. Diet, it's a certain dietary approach, but it's solid. It's basic dietary stuff. I lost 20 pounds, and I thought, I can get behind this.
20 pounds?
Well, I went back up 10 because I thght I was actually too thin. I was
okay.
Actually,
2 pounds of fat or muscle? 10 pounds of fat or muscle?
At my age, it's hard to keep the muscle if you're losing that much weight. It's really hard. And I would love to take testosterone, but I have prostate cancer, so I can't.
But I thought you got your prostate taken out.
I did, but it's still kind of have to get various treatments and stuff. It comes back. Shit comes back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's been 12, 14 years since I had my prostate out, so.
And you can't use testosterone because of that.
Yeah, I'd love to. God, I would love to. But my testosterone level is always insanely high. It's 800 to 1200.
Well, then you're good then.
But I could tell I'm not the way I was. Right. So I must have been 1200 all the time.
Animal-based diet changed everything for me.
Well, I was on carnivore for a while. I gained 20 pounds of not muscle.
Oh, wow.
I just didn't pay attention.
Well, it's because different people, that's what I'm
I
saying.
also didn't pay attention. I was just like, oh, Catherine was on me about diet. I went, I could do the carnivore thing. I'll do that. I loved it. But my appetite is endless.
Okay.
And so if I don't pay attention,
ate a lot.
I ate a lot of meat.
Is that the rest of the question, or is that?
So I went. So then they hired me to be a part of their little campaign to send people. And I thought, you know what? Fuck, I should have been pushing diet and exercise for decades. I've done it myself forever. And if this gets people in the door, gets them to do the right thing, I'm in. Yeah. So that's it.
So what's the question?
They don't like Vince, who's the sort of main. He's this very good-looking influencer. Everything he says he's a really humble guy, and everything he says is.
Why don't they like Vince?
Probably because he's too good looking or something, and they just and he's everywhere. They push him out a lot.
Why don't I know?
It says
about
everything
Vince?
He says sounds good, but when you dig deeper, it clearly seems like another form of snake oil. That's just the words of the person.
If you keep going in their programs, they do try to sell supplements and things like that, and that's on you if you want to do that stuff. My thing is, I like that basic program. Just do that program. Everybody should do something like that.
Is it the diet and exercise, or is it just
and the program, the videos, they're very good. And they're, by the way, redesigning the whole website. I hope I'm not divulging anything, so there's gonna be really cool stuff on it. And it has something for everybody. It's for women, for your legs, for your ass, for using cables, using the rubber bands, using free weights, whatever. And I'm all for it.
Is she saying there's a problem with it?
People don't like that I'm a part of it. They just don't like it.
Why?
Because it's very people. Two things. People hate when I ask them to do something. They want me to do things for them. But if I say, hey, I'd like you to do this, they get pissed immediately.
You mean like you'd like them to sign up to their program?
Sign up to the
and
program
that's
or buy this, consider buying this product. Oh my God. And
Really?
I'm very careful with the stuff I get behind.
Yeah.
And this has a very promote-y kind of quality to it, so it pisses people off, I think. So,
I also think,
but whatever works is my thing. These people know how to get people in to do stuff. Let's go do it. Let's get them to do it.
well, look at it this way: if you're seeing these ads on social media or YouTube, and that is where people are seeing these things, it is understandable and probably healthy if your first inclination is skepticism for any ad that pops up.
Yes.
It's not to say that every ad on YouTube is BS.
That's Vince.
The person who's saying, hey, you should get this editing software. It might well be very good editing software, but we all know a lot of the stuff is snake oil, shady, not what it purports to be. So I understand people who, once they start seeing you in ads, I
get it too.
They are skeptical.
Yeah. No, and be skeptical.
Right.
Be discerning and check it out. And
But it's plyometrics with a diet.
Well, this is what they're advertising. They have everything. You could any kind of program you want, they've got it in there. And he does an excellent. There they are. He does an excellent job of.
Dang, he's in good shape.
Yeah, he's great, and he's a good guy. They're all good. They're all people that know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
so.
I don't. I mean, I believe that there's a million ways to skin a cat. But
My thing is,
talking about diet
we have
and
look,
exercise,
dude.
If you eat clean and you work out, it's good.
All right, nobody does that.
That's the other thing. The supplement program where it's like, take this, and it's like, sure, you could. It's even cold plunge. I got a cold plunge. Go on a cold plunge. Sure, it does help. But I'm on testosterone. I've been on it for over 10 years. The thing, my body got bigger. I lift more weights now because my diet, because first of all, I got sober. When you're not sober, does it matter if you eat pizza at 2 a.m? No, it doesn't. When I got sober, then I could maintain a diet that I eat clean. Every now and then I will eat donuts, I'll eat a cookie. But most of the time I eat 3 meals a day and it's grass-fed beef, rice, sweet potato, and an avocado. Perfect. That's what I eat. And ever since then, I have never been more jacked and never been stronger in my whole, I'm 53. And I've never been stronger than 53-year-old Jason.
Yeah. And so look, and
it's not a supplement.
You're absolutely correct. We live in a rarefied space where people work out and exercise and pay attention to these things. That is a 0.00001% of this country. Yeah. We have a big problem. People need to get out, exercise, diet, and they don't know where to start.
No, I know.
They have no idea. And
no, I know.
I've worked for years with patients, and they always say the same thing. But it hurts. It hurts. Like, yeah. But I might be hungry. Yeah. Hunger's natural. Hunger's normal. So people are really, we got a problem. And so I feel like we're starting from ground level, from zero with most people. And if this gets them in the stuff, good. I'm proud
there's
of
always an argument back. And it's the same with if somebody's like, man, I'm not nobody wants to date me. And I'm like, it's not, you instead of bitching about it, worry about yourself. Work on yourself. I don't want to eat this. I heard that's bad for you. I'm like, I like cheese. What's so bad about this? What's so bad about that? I'm like, just try it. That's one that I don't read it a lot, and that's the thing I'm working on. But
good.
I do things and I try them, and I don't do it for a day. I do it for a period of time where I either see results or I don't see results. And when it's come to I've done everything, all of them. And the one that I've done a little, I've done steroids, proper steroids, and it didn't work. It made me big, made me eat a bunch, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. And then when I got older, it was like, hey, this is unhealthy. So I'm I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, people have said to me, dude, I know you're on steroids. Don't lie. I've look at me from 5 years ago when I was on testosterone. Same amount of testosterone as today. I'm twice as jacked. And it's one thing. Okay, two. Sober. I don't put poison in me. And I eat clean. I don't eat processed food. Every now and then I do after I work out. But that's
listen, if you're generally on target,
you
can eat pizza and donut once in a while.
Otherwise
you'll get fatigue and you'll get burned out. You'll start slipping.
I also get sleep.
Sleep is really important.
And because I'm not high, when I get sleep, it's proper sleep. All those things have come into play, and it has changed. And that's the other thing. Like you said, when you're in your 50s, you lose muscle mass. I'm gaining.
Well, this is the other thing I want to get into. These things it's sort of ridiculous that I've not been more forward with these kinds of topics because I've been thinking about them for years. Longevity. We can do stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah,
and the numero uno is resistance training. That's number one.
It's a lot easier to not get hurt. Yeah, as much as because I know there's a part of me because of the way I am, my addiction thing. I started lifting weights, and then for the first time, my friend was like, "Man, that's 250," and I'm like, "Is that a lot?" He's like, "That's a lot," and I was like, "I wonder if I could do 300." And I go, Jason,
that's how I fuck my shoulders up.
That's
dude.
that's how it goes. Where you go, man, and you know when you're 50 and you're like, "I'm gonna do 300." I've told Tully like I want to do 300 at least one time.
I did it back in the day when I was young.
Oh, for sure you did. You were jacked.
Yeah, when I was young. Yeah,
You're still fit. You're fit as
I'm 66 now.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't look it, dude.
I know, and when people tell me that, I keep thinking, I wonder if it's some of the longevity stuff I take, and then all the resistance training over the years. And
For sure it is.
Yeah.
Like the guy the 75-year-old guy that I know, that guy's arms and shoulders are really impressive.
If you
And
take
he's
testosterone,
75.
look at RFK Jr. He looks great at 72, 71.
Right. Yeah, I think he does for sure, right?
Oh, he talks about it. He does.
What about peptides?
You know, I'm looking into that now. The only when Kreischer was into peptides, I was looking into it. I was not impressed.
Yeah,
and-
well, I love Bert,
Yeah.
but if you drink that much,
No, I understand, but
It's hard to
I was
get a
looking
read.
into it, and I didn't see it. And some other guy convinced me to take the oral peptides, and all I got was terrific diarrhea, like really bad diarrhea, nothing else.
wow.
And so it's not without side effects, and I'm not really clear what we're doing. So I'm looking into it. Maybe next time I come here, I'll have a more firm opinion about it.
Yeah, because I wanted to know, because I'm sort of, I don't want to say, I'm not a Republican. I'm more of I like the RFK guy with the stem cells being a thing that you can do.
Libertarian, join me.
Yeah, that's.
I'm like a libertarian who wants government to solve problems. I still want us to solve
I
problems.
might be a little bit the same, and it was,
Yeah.
and then the other, like the Marjorie Taylor Greene is a pretty dumb person to me. I'm not trying to be mean, but it seems crazy. But freedom milk, and I was like, look, freedom. Do you mean raw milk? Because that's what I've been on for about
that's what they want.
9 months.
They want you to be able to drink raw
And it's
milk.
made a huge difference.
Of course.
And then a bunch of people go, oh, it's good. And I was like, look, this is social media bullshit.
The
All
probability.
I know is I take it.
The probability of having a raw milk reaction, if I remember right, is lower than having an adverse event from. I don't want to get into this whole thing, but commonly used therapeutics.
Right.
Yeah.
I just know what I have started I've done MMA fighting. I've done all these things, and I've been on crazy diets where I've lost 20 pounds, put on 20 pounds, and this diet that I have now I did it for a month because my coach was like, if you do it, the team will see you do it, and it's good. It'll boost everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. And then next thing you know, I was like lifting weights, and I'm in the mirror, and I'm like,
I'll tell you what I
is
need
that
to
my
do.
arm?
You know what I need to do is
I'm saying.
for me, I have to do a little bit of time contingent eating.
What do you mean?
In other words, I have to have certain periods of fasting, because if I eat continuously, I only go one direction. If I eat all regularly,
Yeah.
I don't care what I'm eating, I go up. Doesn't matter what it is. I think it's probably because I'm not hungry most of the day.
Yeah.
But when I eat, I can't stop. That's sort of my
Okay.
thing. So
Yeah,
I know that about myself.
But you
So
just
there
got to
it is.
answer that's like when I get hungry and it's late at night, I know that the answer is no.
Yeah. Oh, for me, for sure. Because
Yeah.
I won't, unless it's time
This is the thing. I'm lucky for being an addict is when it is late at night and I am here and I know that there's food in the fridge and I go, what do you want to be? Because if you go out there and eat that tomorrow, you won't be what your plan is. So you do not eat until tomorrow.
Speaking of being somebody, I told you when I walked in here, I'm a grandparent as of today.
Today.
Yesterday was the delivery. And today
Bruh.
I found out they gave the child's middle name Drew.
He's a legend. Is
That
it a
was-
she
it's
or
a she.
She's a
It's even
legend.
kind of cuter.
That is cuter.
Yeah.
How
And,
does that feel? Does that
if
hit you?
it-
Does it hit you
no.
any differently than you thought it would?
Does your shoulder
I-
hurt more?
Shoulder hurts, not maybe less, but I wouldn't even have ever thought of it. And so
Right.
it's an honor, you know. It's sort of like, oh, I'm not worthy kind of feeling. It's that it's a humility feeling. Yeah.
Well, that kid is lucky to have a grandparent like you in their life.
I hope so. You want to be that for your kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. If anybody's got it, you got it, dude. You're a great American and you're a great friend.
And you got a
By the
TV
way,
show on Lifetime?
I called Uncensored. It's shown up on Lifetime. It's a lot of medical product stuff, a lot of interesting sort of advances in medicine. It's pretty good. It's kind of an Oz-esque show. The show I want to promote, though, is please show up at Ask Dr. Drew. It's YouTube, Rumble, DrDrew.tv, DrDrew.com. It's all on all the platforms. Usually Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 3 o'clock Pacific. So though Thursday, sometimes we do at noon. And I started by just, I think I told you this last time, interviewing people who've been canceled. I wanted to see who they were, what they had to say. And Jay Bhattacharya was one of the first people I interviewed.
Who?
The guy who's going to be the head of the NIH now. What's
NIH?
National Institute of Health. Big. He would have been Fauci's boss.
Okay.
And he was subject to in Fauci's own word, or in Francis Collins' own word, a devastating takedown. They went after him. He's a consummate professional. He's a brilliant dude. He's a incredible human being.
Yeah.
And they're going after this guy. So I started getting more interested. I got to meet RFK Jr. and Peter McCullough, all these guys, and they all are brilliant. They all have something to say. I don't agree with everything they say, but but to silence people like that was the symbol, to me, the symbols of the excesses of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's been a bad time.
Yeah.
For science, for medicine, for everything. It's just not been good.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of stuff out there where people just, they hear it and they go, that's it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't know the person.
We need humility and uncertainty. If you're certain of anything, dial back to humility, because you shouldn't be certain of anything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there seems like an awful relationship. The more certain people are that they know stuff, the less likely that they are fully informed.
Oh, of course. Because you're not, what are you listening to? Because you know.
I know.
What are you going to listen to?
And we live
look, a scientist, you're trained, if you're actually trained as a scientist, in radical uncertainty.
Right.
Instead, we have radical certitude. It's like, you're certain of this?
Yes.
Science is a tiny little instrument that lets us ascend to an approximation of the truth, or answer some basic questions, small ones we're best at, not describe the universe. We can't do that. Humans can't do that. Our instrument isn't evolved for that. And so whenever we're trying to understand complex issues, stay uncertain. Bayesian reasoning, update your priors, be careful. Humble. Humility is an important thing that's been gone. I don't know where it's been, but we need a big dose of it.
That's why I live in a house full of animals.
To keep you humble?
Just what you see is what you get. Rumblebee never lies to me.
They don't know shit and they know it.
Look at this cat. This is the greatest cat ever.
He is. I'm glad you got to meet the legend, Rumblebee. Thanks for doing the show, Drew.
Always a pleasure, you guys. Good to see you. I miss you when I'm not around. It's been too long.
Have me on your show. As soon as I get canceled.
Canceled?
I'm just.
No, I'm just.
I'm going to redeem myself.
I'm just interviewing. I'm interviewing anybody I feel like it now. So yeah, we'll get you in there.
All right.
So
I'm ready to go.
All right.
If you want to see more Jason Ellis Show, patreon.com/Ellis, mate. Have a good week. Don't die.